Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today. We use electricity literally every single day. It completely surrounds us, it powers our modern lives, and yet, for a lot of us, it kind of remains this invisible, almost magical force. Well, today, we're going to demystify it. We are going to take something incredibly common, something you probably have sitting in a junk drawer right now, a simple torchlight, and we're going to mentally tear it down, piece by piece. By figuring out the anatomy of this little pocket-sized device, we're going to unlock the fundamental secrets of electrical circuits. So get ready, because you're about to see the everyday world in a completely new light.
Here is our quick game plan for today's teardown. First, electricity all around us. Second, portable power. Third, inside the glowing bulb. Fourth, the modern LED upgrade. And finally, completing the electrical circuit. Let's just jump right in.
All right, kicking things off with Section 1. Electricity all around us, the spark of daily life.
So before we zoom in on our torchlight, we kind of need to zoom out and look at the massive grid that dictates our existence. Let's start with a really simple question. Can you imagine a single day without electricity? Like, truly think about it. From the second your alarm wakes you up, to the hot shower you take, to the food you cook, and the work you do, our reliance on this invisible energy is just absolute. It's practically the beating heart of modern civilization.
And this quick breakdown really illustrates just how massive that reliance is, right? For entertainment, we're talking TVs, Wi-Fi, radios. In the kitchen, it's firing up the oven, the microwave, your electric kettle. For transportation, it's moving subway trains, powering the elevators and escalators we ride every single day. This power is generated miles and miles away by wind, solar panels, falling water, or coal, and it reaches us through this sprawling, monumental system of wires. It's a huge operation.
But, whoa, hold on a second. That brings us to a hard stop. We have all seen this red caution triangle on electric poles. The electricity flowing right out of your wall socket is insanely powerful, and frankly, it can be extremely dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. You should literally never perform experiments with the main power supply. So to safely wrap our heads around how this massive global force works, we are going to shrink it down. We're going to look at a safe, portable source of electricity that we can hold right in the palm of our hands.
Which brings us to Section 2, portable power, or as I like to call it, the engine.
If our torchlight is the vehicle, this is its engine. Let's crack open the casing and see what's actually in there. At the core of portable power is the electric cell. An electric cell is just a self-contained source of electrical energy. But here is the absolutely critical detail. All electric cells have exactly two terminals. If you look closely at one, you'll spot a small metal cap on one end and a flat metal disc on the other. That metal cap? Always the positive terminal. The flat disc? Always the negative terminal. This polarity, this built-in difference between the two ends, is the entire foundation of how electricity flows. Now let's see how this builds into something a bit more powerful. People use the words cell and battery interchangeably all the time, but actually, scratch that, they are completely different things. A battery is specifically a team-up of two or more cells. And you can't just mash them together however you want. For a battery to actually work, they have to be placed in a very specific order. The positive terminal of one cell has to connect directly to the negative terminal of the next one. We've all put batteries in a TV remote facing the wrong way, right? And it totally didn't work. That is exactly why. You disrupted that strict positive to negative alignment required to make a working battery.
Moving right along to Section 3, inside the glowing bulb, the output.
Okay, so we've got our power source, our engine. Now, where does the light actually come from? If you look really closely inside the glass of an older incandescent torchlight, you're going to see a tiny, super fragile-looking wire fixed right in the middle. That right there is called the filament. This filament is held up by two thicker wires that basically act as supports and insulators. One goes to the metal case at the base, the other goes straight to the metal tip at the very bottom. Those are the two terminals of the lamp, completely isolated from each other. When power hits it, this incredibly thin filament gets immensely hot, and it's literally that extreme heat that causes it to glow and give off light.
Let's fast forward a bit. Section 4, the modern LED upgrade.
While those hot filaments are a great classic tech, if you go out and buy a flashlight today, you're getting something entirely different. Let's do a quick comparison. The incandescent lamp relies on that heated, glowing filament we just talked about, but modern torches mostly use a light-emitting diode, or an LED. The biggest difference? LEDs have absolutely zero filament inside them. None. Instead of getting blazing hot, they use a completely different physical mechanism to emit light. And just like our electric cells, LEDs have two distinct terminals, but they're identified in a really clever physical way.
Take a look at these brightly colored LEDs. See those two little wire legs hanging down? If you look closely, you'll see they are definitely not the same length. One wire is noticeably longer than the other. That is not a manufacturing mistake. The longer wire is always your positive terminal, and the shorter wire is the negative. It's such a simple design choice, but it ensures that anyone building a circuit knows exactly which way to connect the power so it seamlessly matches the positive and negative ends of our electric cell.
Finally, the main event, Section 5, completing the electrical circuit.
We've got our power source and we have our light source. Now we have to hook it all up and bring the system to life. The absolute golden rule here is that an electrical circuit must be a complete, unbroken path. It's a continuous loop that lets electric current flow out from the positive terminal of the cell all the way around and back into the negative terminal. If there is even one microscopic gap in this path, the current stops dead and your lamp will not glow. It has to be flawlessly continuous.
So let's mentally wire this thing up together, step by step. Step 1. We take a piece of conductive wire and touch it to the positive terminal, that little metal cap on our cell. Step 2. We run that wire over to one terminal of our bulb, let's say the metal casing. Now, at this point, nothing happens. Why? Because the loop isn't closed. The current has nowhere to go. So step 3, we take a second wire, attach it to the other terminal of the bulb, the metal tip, and run it all the way back to the negative terminal, the flat disk of our cell. Boom, the loop is closed. The current surges from positive to negative, rushes right through the bulb, and we have lights.
But what about when things go sideways? You've definitely tried to turn on a flashlight and found it totally dead, even with brand new batteries. Usually, we just say the bulb is fused. But what does that actually mean mechanically? Well, remember that tiny, super fragile filament wire inside the incandescent bulb? If that filament gets too hot or just gets old, it snaps. It literally breaks. And because that filament is physically acting as a bridge on our circuit's path, a broken filament means a broken path. The current physically cannot jump across the gap. The circuit is dead. Game over.
Which leaves us with this final, kind of fascinating thought. We just saw how a single, microscopic break in a fragile little wire can bring a brilliant flow of energy to a grinding halt. Electricity requires a flowless, connected system to do its job. It really makes you wonder, when you look around at the massive, complex systems running our modern world today, our global supply chains, our communication networks, our massive power grids, if a tiny broken filament can stop a simple torchlight, what other invisible broken circuits might be disrupting the larger systems in our lives? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll see you all next time.